Hey everybody, it's day 16. Can you believe that? Day 16 of Hey Nostradamus. It's Monday. It is cold out there. It is miserable out there. It is wet out there. And I want warm weather to get here as soon as possible. I'm ready for some warmth. All right, folks. When last we left Heather, she had been talking to Allison. Allison came in with, oh, I say, and then, hey, I'm in dreamland. I got the best thing here with the Fraggles messages. But then she kind of disappeared on her. Heather can't get a hold of her. And it's like, where's this witch, Allison? Why can't Jason just come directly to me? Why does he have to go through her, this uncommunicative bad word? Why does he have to do that? So she's trying to come to grips with this. She told Reg about it. Reg is like, I don't think that the dead. I don't think, because he doesn't have to be dead. He could, that's what the Allison said. I don't think that psychics have any kind of ability. So if something's coming through, it's either fake or it's from the devil. That's what Reg said, because he's, very religious. And Heather's like, but she knew things, Reg. She knew things that only Jason and I talked about together. There's got to be something to it. And Reg says, no, he just doesn't believe it. So here we are. We're going to pick back up. Day 16. I think I've turned the page. Wait. How have I lost my page? Oh my, I had this in my hand. I set it down. I picked it back up. And that's day 14. I'm sorry, guys. This is nuts. Here it is. I had it, we had a meltdown. My youngest daughter had a meltdown. And so I was trying to hold her and take care of her, and then I lost my place completely. Okay, here we are. And now they're all out on the trampoline jumping. You can probably hear them. Okay, page 185. Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. I'm writing this directly into the court system. Who cares? A half hour ago, the unthinkable happened. My cell phone went off in the middle of a cross-examination. Whole years go by without people even noticing we exist. We're not supposed to draw attention to ourselves. And so there I sat, looking like a twit to everybody in the room, phone bleeping away. Granted, it was probably the most interesting thing to happen in that courtroom since the double murder trial back in '97. But people are staring at me, willing my cheeks to flush red, trying to make me know that they know about me. If you were looking at me as I write this, you'd never know that all I want to do in this world is kidnap Allison and tie her to a rack and demand she tell me what's going on with Jason. As I turned off the phone, I checked the call display, and of course, it was Allison, finally. It's all I can do right now not to climb the walls with my teeth. Oh, God, look at these men. What drudgery are these dirtbags discussing now? They're all crooks. You can't imagine all the mining and real estate and offshore crap that wins through this room. You'd be shocked. They'll bankrupt widows and they'll only get a minimum fine and some golf tips from their lawyers. I bet Allison was married to one of these guys. What was his name? Glenn. Glenn, who probably had a 23 handicap, a cholesterol count of 280, and a handful of semi-traceable shell corporations. I've met enough Glens in my time. Some of them hang around at the end of the day and try to pick me up, which I didn't used to mind because it meant that at least I wasn't invisible. But now, Glenn. Now I hate Glenn because Glenn is connected to Allison, and Allison is a witch. Oh, Lord, when is this morning's session going to end? And Heather, aren't you the one who's up the creek paddle free once they read this transcript? Screw it. Nobody ever does. What has happened to me? I've gone crazy. I have. Allison isn't evil. She's just stupid. She probably forgot to recharge her phone. Why all of a sudden do you accuse her of treachery when stupidity may be her only failing? Wait a second. Allison is way too young a name for a woman aged 60-ish. She ought to be called Margaret or Judy or Pam. Allison? Only women my age are called Allison or Heather. When we all start dying in another 40 years, they'll look at the obituary, see our names, and say to themselves, isn't it weird? All the Heathers are dying. It's a bit later. Okay, there was this one time when I suspected something dodgy with Jason. Just one time down in Park Royal, maybe 2 months before he disappeared. We were walking down the main atrium in the South Mall, returning a shirt, and in mid-conversation, Jason froze. I looked at whatever it was he was seeing. There was just this guy sitting there eating ice cream on a bench with a woman who looked to be his mother. He was a big guy, kind of Eastern European looking, and his clothes, they were like what a nightclub bouncer in Vladivostok might choose, thinking that this was how hip Americans dress. His mother was like something from the tuberculosis ward on Ellis Island circa 1902. Jason? Don't move. Huh? I said, don't. Jason, you're scaring me. The guy looked our way and in slow motion put down his ice cream. He then rolled up his pant leg, and I thought he was going to pull out a handgun, but instead I saw that he had a metal prosthesis. That's a fake leg. The guy knocked on it, looked up at Jason, and gave a creepy smile. The next minute, Jason had whisked me away, and we were standing in front of the bootlegger jean store. He was obviously stressed out, and when he saw that we were in front of the bootlegger store, he became even more so. He said, "Not this place." So we escalated up to the next level. I looked down, and the one-legged guy was looking up at us. By then, I was curious, but also quite angry. "Jason, what was that all about?" "A guy I used to work with. It doesn't look to me like you were friends with him. He burnt me on some money he owes me. He's a crazy Russian guy. Those people will do anything." "That's racist." "Whatever. The guy's bad news." I saw the wall slam down. I didn't bother pursuing the question, as past experience had taught me the futility of trying to breach the wall. Jason said, "Let's go to the parkade." "What? We just got here. We haven't even returned this shirt." "We're going." And so we left. And for the weeks after that, Jason was jumpy and tossed in his sleep. Maybe there was no connection to the disappearance. What am I saying? I don't have a clue. But if I ever see that guy again, he's got a lot of questions coming his way. All right, who's the guy? I'll wait. Exactly. Your go. It's your go. And when we, the audience, knows more than the characters in the book, it's called dramatic irony. There's my dramatic pause again. Dramatic irony. We know it's your go. We know he's the Eastern European looking guy. He's got a fake leg because he had a compound fracture. He snapped his leg, and he lay out there near the river. Who knows how long, right? Jason didn't kill him. He could have. And then he called the guy, and the guy said, "I'm not picking him up. I don't care about Yorgo." And then he had the taxi cab driver take the thing to the police station. So he saved Yorgo. And it looks like that's cost Jason, right? Now, that's not to be a spoiler alert, but that's the most you're ever going to hear about what happened to Jason. There's no definitive answer coming, although I think we have our answer. Yorgo has found him. After all this time, he's tracked him down. He's sitting there smiling at him, taps on his leg like, ha, ha, ha. And then Jason's jumpy. He's not sure about what's happening. I'm not sure if something's going to happen. And then suddenly he disappears. One more clue later on, but that's about as definitive as the answer you're going to get. So if you're waiting for the end of Heather's section to find out what happened to Jason, there's your answer right there. That's all you're going to get. Okay? Hang on one sec. Okay, sorry. All kind of crazy things going on in here today. Oh, lots of fires to put out. I'm here. I'm back. I think I got everything taken care of. I'm with you now. Here we go. All right. Tuesday afternoon, 1:30. Back at my little stenography booth looking into all the world like the picture of industry. I listened to Allison's message over lunch hour. "Oh, hello, Heather, this is Allison. I think you might have been trying to reach me. I couldn't find your number because it was in the cell phone's memory and the phone was in the car, which died. And so I've been trying to rustle up some money to get the starter motor fixed. And well, you know how complicated things can get." "Do I? Do I?" "Allison, stop feebly toying with the trivialities of your life, accomplishing nothing, pretending that your tasks are so complex that only God can handle them. Just go fix your effing car and shut up." And yes, Allison, I do know how complicated things can get. But they could be bloody well easy if you'd stop pretending to be a pretentious, fake, helpless girly girl about matters that take only 10 minutes to solve. Anyway, yes, I did have a remarkable statement for you come through last night, and it was for you, no mistake there. Would you like to get together maybe at the end of the day? And I know you work 9 to 5. Here's my number. Give me a call. Hag. As if I didn't know her number. I phoned it and got no response. Lunch hour went by in what seemed to be 3 minutes as I dialed it over and over for a few minutes from the bathroom because I got a bit dizzy and had to sit in silence. What is it about Allison that has me sitting in public bathroom stalls all the time? So now I'm back in the courtroom, supposedly documenting this frivolous and endless land deal trial. These men should all be tarred and feathered and be flogged as they walk naked down the street for screwing around with the lives of common people the way they do. In my peripheral vision, I'm also noticing that people are looking at me to see if my cell phone is going to ring again. As if. But I have to admit, it's a bit flattering to be the temporary star in the courtroom, instead of these blowhards who drag things out so they can bill for countless hours. The law is a lie. It's a lie. A lie. Tuesday afternoon, 2:45. Back in my little booth, stenographing away. My phone just rang again, right in the middle of a freighted moment engineered by one of these hawk-like balding glenoids. The judge spoke to me quite harshly. Too harshly, really. I mean, it's only a cell phone ringing in front of the court. Professionally, it's a huge humiliation, but you know what? I could care less. I told His Honor that I'd just signed up for a new cell phone program and that I was unfamiliar with their system, and he bought it. And so here I am, chastened, and to look at me, I'm beavering away at my job, humiliated and belittled by the powers above. Sure, I just want to get out of this psychic garbage dump. Allison finally answered her phone. It's Tuesday night, 10 o'clock. I pretended to be all innocent as if I hadn't phoned her 2,000 times in the past 48 hours. Allison? Heather, we connect. How are you? Like a Ryder truck full of fertilizer and diesel fuel with a detonator set at 30 seconds and ticking. Okay, getting by, the usual. You? Oh, you know, this car of mine. Cars are so expensive to maintain. What do you drive? A 92 Cutlass. Well, of course it's expensive to maintain. It's a decade old. What do you expect? The quality revolution hadn't happened then. It's one big hunk of pain you're driving. Throw it away, buy a Pontiac Firefly for 1995. I don't care what you do, but for God's sake, don't drive the wind-up toy you're using now. I said, cars are getting better these days, but they can still be a bother. The money I make from being a pretend psychic is so small. I could help you out, maybe. Could you? I said, sure, it's probably going to cost less than you thought. I can set you up with my repair guy, Gary, down on Pemberton Avenue. That'd be kind of you. So can we meet tonight? I think so. I asked, what time works for you? 7 o'clock? Where? How about my place? Oh, Allison, is everything okay? It's just that 7 is when I usually eat dinner. We agreed to meet at a slightly formal Italian place on Marine Drive. When I arrived, it was evident she'd been there a while, as the only dregs remained in what I already saw was the bottle of the restaurant's priciest Merlot. She told me I looked relaxed, which is always a successful ploy because it invariably relaxes the person you say it to. I asked if she liked the wine. She did. She'd better. And she ordered another bottle, although you'd never imagine such a tiny dragon could hold her booze so well. Heather, try to be nice to this woman. You're only jealous because Jason chose to speak through her and not directly to you. As soon as there was wine in my glass, I asked her what message Jason had given her, but she raised her hand in a warding off motion, very professional, and said, it's not good to mix eating with the spirit world. It was all I could do not to throttle her. She talks about the afterlife like it was Fort Lauderdale. Allison didn't want to contaminate Allison didn't want to contaminate her perceptions by asking me about my life, I learned over the appetizer, the lamb entree, and some key lime sorbet about Glenn, who had worked for the Port Authority's inspection division, further details of which make me ache for sleep. She has 3 ungrateful daughters, all in their 20s, who seem to shack up with anything on 2 legs. And to hear Allison's side of the story, her life has been nothing but person after person abusing her sweet, generous nature. Of course, I don't believe her for a moment, but that doesn't get me anywhere. She's got the sole existing phone line to Jason, and I'll be damned if some passive-aggressive menopausal old bat is going to cheat me out of hearing what Jason's been saying to me. When the dishes were cleared, Allison did what I used to do back in college, which was keep a sharp eye attuned to the restaurant's till so as to see when the check might be arriving, and once the check was in motion toward the table, flee to the bathroom. When she returned, she found me putting on my sweater and readying my purse. Oh, did the bill come? My treat. How sweet of you. Maybe we could go to a coffee place and discuss, these things you've been receiving? That's an excellent idea. So do you see how Allison's milking her, right? Going to get car repairs, got a dinner out of it, going to go get some coffee now. She's just, sounds like she's playing her, right? Okay. We found a nearby cafe inhabited by local teens primping and strutting and turkey cocking, all of which made me feel older than dirt. Allison ordered the most expensive coffee on the menu, whereupon I gave her my most penetrating stare. Can we talk now about Jason? Of course, dear, but I wish it didn't feel as silly as it does to say these things to you. No, not at all. So what did he say? Allison inhaled and delivered the words like an embarrassing truth. Glue! What? Glue, 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 glue. I was floored. It was the quails speaking. The quails were yet more characters created by Jason and me, a blend of Broadway gypsies and intelligent children, greatly given to repetitive tasks and themed costumes. But the quails spoke only their own language, which had only one word, glue, with a jaunty IKEA-like umlaut on the U. Allison said, after all your kindness, Heather, that's the only message I have for you. I think maybe I am a fraud after all. I sat stunned. Heather? Heather? What? I take it this means something to you? Yeah, it does. That's a relief. Allison, I suppose, was wondering what kind of genie had been let out of the bottle. I asked her, nothing else? Nothing at all? Sorry, Heather, just glue, 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 glue. When do you normally pick up your messages, so to speak? It has to be during the night. So tonight you'll get more? I can only wait and see. Will you call me if you get anything? Of course I will, but I think it's because of my car and money worries that I'm blocking more than I could otherwise receive. I'll help you out with your car, and of course I'll pay you your normal psychic fees. You're very kind, Heather, and after tonight's lavish meal, too. Oh, brother. I took 10 $20 bills from my bag and gave them to Allison. This is for today, and also I'll cover your car's repair bill this time. How does that sound? Such kindness, but really, Heather, I was swept away in the emotion of hearing quails from the dead. It's my pleasure. Can I ask you to keep your phone on tomorrow, Allison? It's so frustrating to be unable to reach you sometimes. Of course I will, dear. And so I came home where I'm sitting now trying to make sense of Jason's happy message from beyond. Glue, 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 glue. I'm wondering if I should just jump off Cleveland Dam and get to him right away, but that would probably somehow disqualify me. So I think I need to just sit here, enjoy the glow, and then take 2 sleeping pills because tomorrow's a working day. Just before I fell asleep. I've been thinking, I'm older. I'm on the other side of 35 and I have a better notion of wasted time and energy that. Let me do that one again. Just before I fall asleep. I've been thinking, I'm older. I'm on the other side of 35 and I have a better notion of wasted time and energy than I did even 2 years ago. If somebody wastes my time these days, I get mad. I'm also 7 years older than Jason, but after about 33, we're all the same age in our heads, so it's not the big deal it looks like. At least not from the inside looking out. And as Jason was almost 33, we were almost the same. And anyway, a few decades after your first kiss and your first cigarette, I don't care if you're rich or poor, life leaves the same number of bruises on you. Most people might view Jason as a failure, and that's just fine. Failure is authentic. And because it's authentic, it's real and genuine. And because of that, it's a pure state of being. I thought Jason was as pure and bright as a halo. And no, I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy. God only knows he snored through enough morning jobs, and he clocked out early once a week to watch the games down at the pubs. But Jason never curried favor with people he didn't like. He never tried to fake being busy so he'd look good, and he never fudged his opinion to suit the temperature of the room. In failure, Jason could be truly himself, and there's a liberation that stems from that. Leave that shirt untucked, wash your hair tomorrow, beer with lunch? Sure. I wish I could say that success turns people into plastic dolls, but the truth is that I don't know any successful people. The people in the courts are the closest I might come to knowing success stories, but they're all vermin. At first, I wondered if I should take Jason and clean him up and turn him into a gung-ho PowerPoint-driven success story, but that was never going to happen. I figured that out quickly, so I never pushed him. That I didn't try to force him to change might have been my biggest attraction, that and my manic Connie Florentine, and the fact that I never judged him harshly or even judged him at all. I simply let him be who he was, this sweet, screwed up refugee from a past that was so extreme and harsh and so different from my own. And he was so lonely when I met him. Oh, he almost hummed with relief in the mornings when he learned we could talk at breakfast. Apparently that was forbidden growing up. Reg must have been pretty gruesome back then. Jason also had this thing called the glory meter. A glory meter was an invisible device Jason said almost everybody carries around with them. A Palm Pilot-ish gadget that goes ding, ding, ding whenever we come up with a salve to try to inflate our sense of importance. A Palm Pilot was just that, a little thing about the size of a cell phone these days that you held in your hand, and you could schedule meetings on it, like an electronic calendar type thing. It did a little bit more than that, but it was a precursor to the cell phones, to the carrying around cell phones like we do. Examples would be, I make the best sour cherry pie in Vancouver. My dachshund has the silkiest fur of all the dogs in the park. My spreadsheets are the most sensibly ordered fields. I won the 500-yard dash in my senior year. You get the picture. Simple stuff. Jason never saw anything wrong with this kind of thing, but when he pointed the meter to himself, the ding, 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 ding stopped, and he pretended to whack it as if the needle were broken. Jason, you must have something in you to activate the glory meter. Sorry, honey, nada. Come on, zilch. This was his cue for me to say how much I loved him, and I'd spend the next 10 minutes girlishly telling him all the goofy things I like about him. And he felt so much better because of that. So if that's fixing someone, yep, I fixed the man. Wednesday morning, 10:30. I ended up needing 5 sleeping pills to knock me out, and it was all I could do to drag my butt into work this morning. As an antidote, I took some trucker pills Jason kept in the medicine cabinet. Heavy duty, but they do wake me up. Fortunately, people will misinterpret my sour, inwardly turned face as contrition after yesterday's cell phone debacle. However, I can barely think properly, let alone transcribe the boring pap being spouted in this current trial. So I'm just going to sit here and do the best I can, given the circumstances. Oh, it's lovely to sit here and pay no attention to anything these morons in the court are saying. I ought to have tried this years ago. I wonder how many other stenographers across the decades have sat here pumping out their inner self while appearing prim and methodical. Oh, I suppose I'm flattering myself, but we're a good crew, we are, stenographers. On TV, we never get to be part of the plot twist. The stars never played a stenographer. There isn't even a porn movie with a court stenographer in it. Right now, a lawyer named Pete is prattling on about a property conveyance from that's not been supplied, a form that's not been supplied. I smell a recess coming up. I suppose I can phone Allison during the recess. I thought about her way too much last night. There's something I don't like about her, but what could be her angle? So far, she's gotten a good meal, maybe some free car repairs, and $200 from me. Not much. Who am I fooling? This woman owns me. And she knows it. And I can only pray that I get enough messages from Jason before she bares her fangs and starts upping the price. Heather, get a grip. She's a North Vancouver widow, which is pretty much what you are, too. A widow who's trying to scam some bucks and hold on to a middle-class facade about before poverty sucks her down the drain like some cheap special effect. Are Allison's actions criminal? One fact I know from being a stenographer is that just about anybody can do just about anything for just about any reason. Sounds familiar. I hope that sounds familiar, right? We've had that same message now in everybody's section. One fact, and if you're looking for quotes, here's another one. One fact I know from being a stenographer is that just about anybody can do just about anything for just about any reason. Crime is what got me into stenography. I wanted to see the faces of people who lie. I wanted to see how people can say one thing and do another. It's all my parents ever did with each other, as well as with all their family members. I thought being closer to liars and criminals could help me put my family's lies into better perspective. But of course, that never happened. At least I sometimes had entertainment. Like a few years ago, we had this woman, elementary school teacher, who claimed she was at a baby shower when it turns out she was quite happily dismembering her father-in-law. I wanted to see that kind of lying brio. She maintained total composure while the defense team clobbered her with motive, money, what else, and intent. She'd bought a kiddie pool a month earlier in order to contain the blood. Plus, there were receipts for hundreds of dollars worth of bleach and disinfectants and deodorants, purchased from the same Shoppers Drug Mart where I buy my tampons and microwave popcorn. Was there a big moral to any of this? Doubtful. But I do know that as a species, we're somehow hardwired to believe lies. It's astonishing how willing we are to believe whatever story we're tossed, simply because we want to hear what we want to hear. We believe whatever because we want to hear what we want to hear. I think that's another good one to talk about. Page 199. I suppose I also thought that being a stenographer, hearing it all, would somehow inoculate me against crimes occurring to me. Naive, but then it was a 17-year-old me who made that decision. Imagine leaving your most important life decisions to a 17-year-old. What was God thinking? If there's such a thing as reincarnation, I want the tenure of nature of my next incarnation to be decided by a quorum of 12 70-somethings. I know I keep saying this, but there's another good quote, right? And I know maybe as a 17 or 18-year-old, you're offended by that. But then it was a 17-year-old me who made that decision. Imagine leaving your most important life decisions to a 17-year-old. But I'm telling you the truth. Right now, you're going to decide what you want to do with your life. In 10 years, that may be the furthest thing from what you want to do. That's why, I don't know, that's why I always say, hey, go to a community college, go somewhere local. Don't spend a ton of money at the beginning of college because most people change their majors. Most people say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to be a biologist. I'm going to be, I don't know, basket weaver. I'm trying to think of something really cool, but basket weaver. And you go to school and you take 3 or 4 classes and you're like, I don't want to do that. This is boring. This is hard. This is math or whatever reason. Or you find something else that just piques your interest. You're like, that's what I want to do. I came to school wanting to do this, but this is what I really want. So if you're paying $40,000 a year to change your major and start all over again and spend more money, take more classes to make up for the classes that you took before you changed your major, why? Go somewhere. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to MCC for 2 years, taking all your general education courses, your general courses, and then discover what you want to do, and then going to do it somewhere else. Go to Harvard after that. I don't mind, but we spend so much money on college. We take 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds, say, decide now what you're going to do for the rest of your life, and go in such horrible debt that's going to take you most of your life to dig your way out of it. How is that being kind to you? How is that doing any of you guys a favor? How is that helping you? It's hurting you. But it's the way we've done things, so we just keep doing things the way we've always done it. Someone's got to break the cycle, whether it's free tuition for all colleges, whether it's forgiving student loans, whether it's a change in the stigma around schooling. I don't know. We got to do something because we're killing kids as they're coming out of school. All right. But anyway, it's 17. What you want at 27 is not what you want at 17. What you want at 37 is not what you wanted at 27, and so on and so forth. So she's like, I want my next life, my next reincarnation to be configured by a quorum of 70 somethings, people who lived a little bit, you know. What's this? Goody gumdrops, a recess while Joe Dirtbag buys time to find a conveyance form that every person in the courtroom knows doesn't exist. Rich people have their own laws. Poor people don't stand a chance. They never have. Tuesday afternoon, 3 o'clock. I was eating lunch in a cafe near the courthouse, picking at some romaine lettuce leaves while dispiritedly redialing Allison, when some French Canadian girls behind me, tree planters, teenagers with perfect skin and no apparent sense of gratitude for what society has given them, began discussing vegetarianism and meat. Their descriptions of Quebec slaughterhouses were so foul that I almost vomited, though normally such explicit dialogue would only leave me curious for more. I stumbled back to the courthouse, found Larry who does shift planning, and pleaded off sick for the remainder of the day. Again. I drove home where all I could do was lie beneath the duvet and think about where Jason's body is right now. Not his soul or spirit, but the meat part of him. Why is this so important to me? I know he was no prince before I met him. As I've said, that was part of the attraction. As well, my chosen vocation prepares a person for the worst of what can happen to the human body. Coroner's photos included, even in happy little Vancouver. Bride burnings and women tossed into wood chippers, then sent to the rendering plant. God knows Jason has some gruesome images locked up inside him. After I met him, I called in a favor from Lori, who works in the archives. I asked her to pull photo files from me on the Delbrook massacre, the photos from the cafeteria. Well, all I can say is that the media does both a service and a disservice by not showing the real story there. I suppose there are websites where you can go look at this kind of stuff, but okay, the fourth photo down was of Cheryl. I stopped breathing when I saw her. Her. So young. Oh, dear God, so young. All of them, just babies. And Cheryl's face was unspeckled by any gore despite the battlefield around her. In the photo, she looked serene as if she were alive and suntanning. There was no fear there, none. I put the photos back in the envelope. I didn't look at the rest. Would Jason feel better if he knew that she died at peace? But he must have known this. If he returned, would I tell him I'd seen the photo? Would that drive him away or bond us closer? We know Cheryl died in his arms, so he knows. If he returned. Bastard. Why couldn't he have left me a clue? A simple, measly clue. But no. Just going out to get some smokes, honey. Want anything? Milk? Bananas? He's dead. He has to be. Because he'd never simply leave me. He wasn't like that. I keep on wondering which of his friends might have had some inkling of what was going on, but Jason was, aside from me, alone in the world. His family was one notch less than totally useless. I get so mad at him sometimes. I mean, his mother dragged him off to hillbilly country the moment the massacre investigation cleared him. He never properly faced his accusers, and they must have felt they'd somehow won something in that. Kent was dead, but he could have stuck up for his little brother instead of hiding behind a wall of midterms and religious hocus pocus. And there's Reg. Reg, why did you have to wait for the world to collapse around you before you became a human being? You two would have gotten along so well. You really would have. And don't even get me going about Cheryl's plastic, mean-spirited parents. Hypocrites. Even Barb gets a bit clippy when I talk about Jason too much. Egad, I'm just venting here. It's merely me venting. These are all kind people, and I'm merely venting. And I also can't get Cheryl's photo out of my head. I'm not the jealous type, but when it comes to her, what's a girl supposed to do? In the eyes of the world, Cheryl's a saint. Who else on earth is a saint for competition? Nuns? But I don't think she was a saint, not judging by what I could learn from Jason. I think she was just an average girl who was maybe missing a sense of drama in her life. Since Jason's disappearance, I've had dinner a few times with Chris and Cheryl's parents over at Barb's. All they talk about is getting deals on cases of canned corn at Costco, the best price I got on Alaska Airlines tickets to Scottsdale, and the new next-door neighbors who don't use English as a first language. I've never heard them discuss an idea at the table, let alone give much thought to where Jason might be. My presence there possibly unnerves them. Jason said that they were vile and that they still suspected him of being the one who videotaped the gunman and mailed the tapes to the press. But I didn't get any inkling of that from them. If anything, I since regret that they'd never gotten to really meet him. As for Cheryl, I quickly learned that she could pop up anywhere. We'd be watching TV and blink, there she was. Her yearbook photo on the screen and a voiceover talking about crime and youth or spiraling crime rates or crime and women. This was always jarring for me, but never for Jason. He'd smile slightly and say, "Don't worry." But I saw his face. He was still in love with her. It's there. What's bizarre is that I, being alive, have the competitive edge over her, being dead. Yet at the same time, she, being dead, has the edge over me, alive but aging quickly, and not very well at that. And then there's religion. Even though Jason said he shunned religion, I have this feeling that life for him was just a waiting game, that he believed if he could squeak through the rest of his life, he'd meet up with Cheryl. How do I know that his disdain for religion wasn't short term? I tried talking to Jason about Cheryl, but his answers were politicians' answers. She was thrown in my life so long ago, I was a kid. But she died in his arms in a lake of blood. Jason also said a few things over the years to make me wonder if the tree, having been chopped down to the ground, was now sending new shoots out from the soil. For example, we saw a childhood friend of his, Craig, on the highway driving a Ferrari or one of those cars. Jason said, "Well, you can accumulate all the stuff you want in this life, but stuff alone can't make you happy." Craig there has to go around acting like he's a complete man now. Right. You're just jealous. No, I'm not. And he wasn't. Reg hasn't tried to convert me in the past months, not even edge in that direction. He's far too preoccupied with the state of his own soul. Ironically, his honesty about his doubts has made him genuinely spiritual, and has made me far more open to his ideas than I might have been otherwise. I don't think Reg has realized this. When I'm around him, I find myself cross-examining my motives for everything I do. I think I'm a moral person, yet I'm always wondering if there's the ghost of Cheryl out there watching me saying, "Look out, Heather, don't confuse your morality with God's demands." So it all comes back to Cheryl and my, let's face it, jealousy. Here's what I think. The five most unattractive traits in people are cheapness, clinginess, neediness, unwillingness to change, and jealousy. Jealousy is the worst and by far the hardest to conceal. Around Jason, I made myself conceal it, but because what else could I do? But I don't know how to kill jealousy. I fully expect it to turn into little steel fangs that'll clutch me like a leg hold trap the moment I need to be most tender or forgiving. Jealousy is the one emotion that lies in wait. That's a good quote. Jealousy is the one emotion that lies in wait, as is the one about the five most unattractive traits in people are cheapness, clinginess, neediness, unwillingness to change, and jealousy. That's something you could dig your fangs into and talk about, isn't it? All right. That's it. That's day 16 right there. It's 32 minutes. Wow, this is long. Hope you've broken this up into a couple of different sittings. All right, day 16 right there. We got Thursday morning, 6 o'clock when we come back. A little bit left of Heather, find out what's going on with Allison and Jason and the whole thing. And then we got a couple of pages of Reg as he tries to unburden his soul. And that's it. I'll give you the final assessment. And my goodness, it is April 27th as I'm recording this right now. And you have a month of school, seniors, a month. So we're getting there. All right, guys. I miss you. I love you. Please stay happy and healthy. Take care of yourself.